LoreWarrior Online, Swiftwind Scout Car. Overview. Though the Swiftwind Scout Car is only found in the Capellan Confederation, it is fairly typical of most scout cars found in the Inner Sphere. The Swiftwind is designed to carry one scout and the equipment he needs to stay in touch with his unit, even from a great distance. Fast and manoeuvrable, the car carries the scout forward of a mech or artillery unit to aid his search for signs of the enemy. Once the enemy is found, the scout then tries to find a concealed position where he can leave the car while he further investigates the strength of enemy forces. Having noted the enemy's numbers, his direction of travel and apparent objective, the scout then uses the scout car's sophisticated communication system to report back to his parent unit. After making the report, he either continues shadowing the enemy or becomes a spotter for friendly artillery fire. If the enemy spots the scout, he will have to rely on his car's speed to save him, as the Swiftwind and most other models are unarmed and only lightly armoured. Capabilities. The Swiftwind has 6 large, wide wheels providing excellent traction and handling. All 6 wheels are powered, have independent suspension, and provide for high ground clearance. This combination makes the Swiftwind capable of travelling over rough terrain and the rubble of buildings, though at a significantly reduced speed. A separate engine casing bolted onto the rear of the car holds the engine system. It provides power both to the drive and wheels and generates electricity for the communications equipment. The Swiftwind and some other scout car drivers use a scaled down Neuro helmet, similar to those by speeder racers, to aid their handling of the vehicle. Using a Neuro helmet, he has a wide angle of vision, as well as night vision and infrared sighting. The Swiftwind's most important component is its communication system, which allows data transmission by voice or code. The most basic use of the comm system is with nearby mech or artillery units. The comm units in scout cars also provide surface-to-air communications, which allow the scout to gather information from friendly aerospace pilots or to coordinate their strafing and bombing runs. The scout can also use the comm system to uplink with friendly microsatellites when available, and to relay messages to truly distant points on the planet. Scout car communication systems can even communicate with distant dropships and even jump ships, which means a scout can land secretly on a planet, then communicate his findings without the need for relay systems that might alert the enemy to his presence. This ability to use satellites and other spacefaring vessels also gives the system some predictive ability. There is a computer-generated map projected on the scout car's dashboard, which is a compilation of known information and the satellite scans of the terrain ahead. The system is also adept at detecting and eavesdropping on enemy communications. The scout can monitor what the enemy is saying or relay it back to his parent unit, while the comm system is directing the scout to the point of origin. This obviously saves the scout valuable time in searching out the enemy. It also protects him from stumbling onto the enemy unawares. The scout can safely leave his car and still use the communication system through an earphone, mic and control device. The control device is a handheld card that allows remote use of the system. The earphone and mic system are also small, and are usually attached to the scout's cap, with the wires hidden in the seams. The remote system's only limitation is that the scout must be in line of sight of the car, and no farther than 1,200 meters away. The large transmitting-receiving dish seen in the illustration is a fairly standard feature on scout cars. It can be collapsed and folded to fit snugly onto the roof, or the scout car in a matter of seconds. Because this sophisticated communication system offers a scout so many advantages, it's one of the reasons he may choose the car rather than the cheapest skimmer, if he can afford to. The comm system's major disadvantage is that it requires a lot of power and generates a fair amount of heat, which is why scout cars are usually fusion powered. Because fusion engines are now rare, it also means that fewer and fewer scout cars are in working order. If the engine of the communication set breaks down, repairing them is either very costly, or in some cases no longer possible. Battle history. Scout cars have been around since the invention of the automobile. When still outfitted with crude radios, the scout car's major limitations were his lack of knowledge and the surrounding terrain and the unreliability of equipment. This eventually changed in the late 20th and early 21st centuries when the use of spy satellites made highly detailed pictures available to scouts via advanced and reliable communications devices. Scout car technology reached a plateau when the fusion engine was added in the 23rd century, and except for the addition of ground-to-space communications in the 2600s, there have been few significant changes in the last 800 years. Variants. Though the Swiftwind is in many ways typical, all scout cars do not look alike. The number of wheels may vary from 3-wheeled Federated Sun's Darter, for example, to the Commonwealth's 8-wheeled Centipede. Nor do all scout cars have dish antennae. Kirita's Skulker relies on long whip antennae to both transmit and receive communications. The Centipede, on the other hand, has 2, allowing it to link in conversation to jump ships on opposite sides of the sun. As fusion engines grow ever more scarce, more and more scout cars are switching over to internal combustion engines. To maintain some speed, these cars must also give up most, if not all, of its armour. Once stripped of their rooftop armour, many end up resembling jeeps. The antennae on these scout cars are latched to the roll bar and are assembled and disassembled by hand. To help the small drive motors of the antennae make their precise adjustments, the scout may often have to park his vehicle in a certain direction. Notable scouts. Scout Mick Lewis. Member of the 1st Brigade of the Fusiliers of Orienta, Mike Lewis is famed for his daring attempt to get so close to an enemy force that he can see what they're having for dinner. Several times he's actually ventured into tech sheds and ammo dumps to get detailed enemy information. Indeed, many officers can tell by the thoroughness of a scouting report that it was Mick Lewis who filed it.